Let me tell you a story that will move your heart and remind you what true courage really means. This isn't a movie. This is the real story of Desmond Doss, a man who went to war but never carried a weapon. He fought not to kill, but to save lives. He was called a coward by some, but in the end, he became a hero to all. Desmond Doss was born in 1919 in a small town in Virginia, USA. He grew up in a simple wooden house with his parents and brother. His father, Tom, was a World War I veteran, a man haunted by the things he had seen in battle. War had left deep scars in his heart. He often drank to forget. His mother, Bertha, was a gentle, God-fearing woman, kind and full of faith. She taught Desmond that every life is precious and that violence only creates more pain. Desmond was quiet, gentle, and deeply spiritual from a young age. He believed strongly in the sixth commandment, "Thou shalt not kill." That belief would soon shape the rest of his life. When Desmond was about 10, he and his brother Hal were playing near their home. They started arguing, and in a moment of anger, Desmond hit his brother with a brick. His brother fell to the ground, bleeding, unconscious. Desmond froze. He thought he had killed him. As his mother rushed to help, Desmond fell to his knees and prayed, "God, I'm so sorry. I never want to hurt anyone again." Never. That day changed him. He promised he would spend his life helping people, not hurting them. Years later, when World War II began, Desmond was a young man working in a shipyard. He loved his country deeply and wanted to serve, but in his own way. When he told his parents he wanted to join the army, his father was furious. "Desmond, do you know what war does to men? You'll come back broken." But Desmond replied softly, "Pa, I can't stand by while others go fight for me. I have to do my part, but I'll do it God's way." So, he enlisted as a combat medic, someone who saves the wounded. At boot camp, the soldiers laughed at him. They mocked him because he refused to touch a rifle. One soldier sneered, "What kind of man goes to war without a gun?" Desmond calmly replied, "The kind that wants to save lives, not take them." But his choice brought him trouble. His officers thought he was a coward. He was beaten, insulted, even threatened. At one point, he was almost court-martialed, kicked out of the army. But Desmond stood firm. He said, "I'll serve my country, but I won't violate my faith." Eventually, the military allowed him to continue as a medic without ever carrying a weapon. In 1945, Desmond's unit was sent to Okinawa, Japan, one of the bloodiest battles of World War II. Their mission: capture a steep 400-foot cliff called Hacksaw Ridge. At the top of that ridge were hundreds of enemy soldiers, heavily armed, waiting. The climb was dangerous. The air smelled of smoke and death. Explosions echoed in the distance. Desmond prayed quietly, "Lord, please give me strength to help just one more person." When the attack began, the battlefield turned into chaos. Bullets tore through the air, bombs exploded, and men screamed in pain. Within hours, hundreds of soldiers fell, wounded or dying. The order came, "Retreat." Everyone climbed back down the cliff. Everyone except Desmond Doss. When night fell, the ridge was silent, except for the cries of the wounded. Desmond looked around and whispered to himself, "I can't leave them behind." So, alone with no gun, no weapon, he crawled back into the fire. He searched for survivors, one by one. When he found a wounded soldier, he dragged him to the cliff, tied a rope around him, and lowered him down to safety. Each time he saved a man, he prayed, "Lord, help me get one more." He did this all night long. Bullets whizzed past him. Explosions shook the ground. But he never stopped. By sunrise, he had saved 75 men. Many of them were the same soldiers who once mocked him. When the sun rose and Desmond finally came down, he was exhausted, his body bruised, his hands bleeding from the rope. But his heart was full. He had done what he came to do, save lives. When his commander, Captain Glover, saw him, he said with tears in his eyes, "I didn't think you could do it without a gun, but I was wrong." Desmond simply smiled and said, "Sir, I just tried to do what was right." The next day, before another attack, the soldiers refused to go up the ridge until Desmond finished praying for them. The same men who once called him a coward now saw him as their guardian. Desmond Doss survived the war. He was awarded the Medal of Honor, the highest military recognition in the United States, the first man in history to receive it without firing a single shot. When asked how he found the strength to keep going, he said, "I just kept praying, Lord, help me get one more." Even after the war, Desmond remained humble. He lived quietly with his wife, Dorothy, continued serving his community, and never sought fame. He passed away in 2006, peacefully, with the same faith and kindness that defined his life. Desmond Doss teaches us that true courage isn't about taking lives, it's about saving them. You don't need a gun or power to be brave. You just need faith, compassion, and the will to do what's right, even when you stand alone. He proved that you can be both gentle and strong, and that doing good, even when no one believes in you, can change the world. When you feel like you can't make a difference, remember Desmond Doss, the soldier who went to war with nothing but faith in his heart and saved 75 lives. That's what real heroism looks like. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more true, life-changing stories of courage and faith. Remember, sometimes the quietest people do the loudest things for humanity.